Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I have a very special guest today. As you all know, on Fridays, I've been bringing in kind of new people, and today I have Rob J. He is a digital marketer, and he just happens to also be a friend of my husband's. So thank you, Rob, so much for being here. And we're just gonna go ahead and get into it, okay?
All right, hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Now, also, hello to my brother Chris.
And could you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about how you and Chris, like kind of that connection between you and my husband?
Yeah, well, I'm from Houston, but all my family's from Detroit. So my parents, they used to need a break from me during the summers. They send me to Detroit for a month or a couple months every summer. So growing up, I had like a second life in Detroit, and I would stay with my aunt Marilyn, and my aunt and Chris's mother. Both were realtors and really close friends. So she just dragged me along one day, and Chris was there. He had this crazy dog named Spencer, and Chris just became pretty much every time I was in Detroit, and I'd be with him, and I call him my Detroit best friend. My second life, he's my best friend in that world.
Love it.
Really never even had an argument.
Awesome. Well, Chris and I have never had an argument, like seriously. I mean, I would like to say that I am a big reason for that, but he's just he's an Aries. He's super chill. My husband is like probably one of the most chill people that I know, like have ever met. So,
he's a good guy. Don't tell him I said this.
I'm not. He's not even around. He's so scared. Let me tell you about my husband. So I tried to get him, obviously, I've been doing this for like a month. I'm like, so are you gonna like let me interview you? Or maybe we can do one of those Q&As. You see couples doing Q&As on YouTube. He's like, no, like not at all. Kind of getting you on, I thought maybe would warm him up a little, but you see, he's not even around. I thought he would at least be like sitting.
Yeah, but I gotta just stop. I gotta
so
make
nervous.
one small.
I'll put him on camera.
Yeah,
he's so nervous. I'm gonna put him on camera.
One small thing though, we can't. He's not scared now. He's just not a camera person.
He's not a camera person.
He ain't scared now.
He's not scared at all. He is definitely not a camera. He is who he is too. He's like cool with it. He has no care about it. All right, so let's get into it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from and what do you do?
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas. Lived a lot of places, but I guess sum it up, say I'm a FAMU graduate. And came out of college basically career-wise, I kind of just standard business administration degree. And then, was also pursuing some, art life dreams, music, stuff like that. And then, about 6-7 years ago, made the transition into wanting to be more hands-on on the technical side. A lot of platforms opened up where self-learning became a very, self-learning was always possible, but before the rise of like the Code Academies, Team Treehouse, the online platforms, you had to be a very like almost brutally disciplined person to, just read a 400-page book on PHP. And there, it was a real hardcore learning experience. So as those things rose, I started self-educating. Then I started, doing freelance things. I was still working in finance, and then, lost my job in finance, and the actual manager at the company hired me for like one of my first clients. And then from there, it just kind of became learn while you go type of thing, and work my way up. And, wound up re-entering corporate America on the technical side. I was a lead developer at a university here. And then the thing about code, I started realizing that I didn't necessarily, there were certain things I liked about coding, the empowerment, the ability to develop an idea, those type of things. But there were other things about that life that I didn't like. I didn't like, the loneliness of being an engineer in a room by yourself, cranking out lines on a sub X editor or whatever. It just stopped being for me. So I really found a happy medium in like the digital marketing space where, I'm still able to develop websites, still able to help people with SEO and stuff, but not so, ground level with the engineering side where I'm banging out code and stuff like that. I'm more kind of coming in at a level that's a little more comfortable for me, because I tell people all the time, coding is not a profession; it's a lifestyle. Like when you learning to code, you're not great. You're joining a gang when you learn to code. Like you're a coder 24/7. You will never stop studying. So for me, I found like digital marketing be a happier place for me.
I love that you said that, because I think first of all, like, so many people right now, it's kind of on trend, are going into coding, and so many people right now are transitioning into different career spaces. And so to hear that you did do it and you realize there were things about it that you don't like, I think it's important we're honest. I too like transitioned out of teaching into news and realized, like, oh, I loved it, but there were parts about it, honestly, like working all the time and like just I didn't realize the emotional draining of it. And so I really wanted to find something more balanced. And so a lot of what I do too is digital marketing, but I'm also a communications director. So my background too, which is also why I like a lot of the things that you talk about, is tech. Like my background was always coding before even teaching. So, it's interesting how you can find so many different paths with still a technology background. So I always like to say, like, it's a great place to leverage skill sets from.
Definitely.
It's definitely
It's a great liberal art, I think. But I think we need to redefine it as that. It's a liberal art. It's not a ticket to a land flowing with milk and honey for everybody. Nope. For some people it is, but I don't like the way that it's kind of positioned as this Band-Aid that's going to save the next generation.
Like you're going to get rich if you learn how to do this. Like I've seen a lot of people like, you can make six figures coding. And it's like, you can, but you're going to really have to like leverage a skill set of coding to make that happen. Like something.
Yeah, I mean, because that's no one tells kids you can make six figures as a as a plastic surgeon, because we respect the fact that, hey, everyone isn't necessarily going to be built to be a plastic surgeon. Mm-hmm. But we have no problem acting like every single kid in America can be a high level engineer, and it's just not the truth.
Yeah. So I'm in Michigan. You're actually our first guest, my first guest here on this channel that is from out of state. And also, just a little bit of housekeeping I want to do. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching right now. Also hit the notification bell so that you can know when I'm dropping new content, which is typically like a few times a week. So let's stay a while. But back to this, you are my first guest from out of state. And I've been talking a lot on this channel just about how we've been hit so hard here in Michigan. Our whole reality, our whole way of life is different. The Capitol was shut down today because there were people up there with like guns. We know who was up there with guns. Like, it's really insane right now. So you're in Houston. How is it like there?
Houston is it's kind of like a tale of like two different worlds. Like you have like, I'd say Houston probably, from the way like you all described Michigan, Houston is probably ideally what Michigan will probably be like in July or August. It's kind of like you have like a portion of the demographic that almost acts as if Corona has died and passed away or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we just had like a club out here, Prospect Park. They just got in trouble because, like, I mean, they were throwing full parties. They was like all the way
like
back
an indoor club?
Yeah, indoor. Well, they have a patio outside, and then they have an indoor. A lot of places are kind of slowly opening. Like they may. I think the rule right now is that businesses can open, but they can only have 25% of their capacity in there. And so we have like a couple of one or two like social spots open, grocery stores, stuff like that. Like I said, about half the people are really like mask everywhere they go, hand sanitizer, this, that, and the other. And then the other half, pretty much, they're acting like it's, they never heard of the corona or COVID. So.
And it's kind of like that here, even though it's crazy. And like, I mean, there's literally been we've had so many deaths. Like, it's been very real here in Detroit, and I think you might know just from visiting here, Detroit is a very compact city when it comes to like the Black community. Like, we're not spread out. We're pretty condensed. And if you're not like living really close by, people know each other, just a very close-knit community. So we've been very affected, and it's just like crazy that, some people even here are no masks. I go out, no masks on, no gloves, shorts, just out here. And it's a little crazy. Are you wearing a mask still?
I mean, when I go places that require it, I wear it. I really don't. Now, I do go to the cigar bar, Stogies, and we have to be sanitized when you come in. I usually sit outside. I have a couple masks on me. I'm not just serial mask where everywhere I go, it's on me, like if I'm in my car or something like that.
Okay.
But, I go into like, spots that are like public, then, I have my little surgical mask that I bring with
Okay,
me.
so have you been personally, it's so crazy, like that's wow. You seem so relaxed. It's really crazy. It's really intense up here. So
Well, I think the thing about in Houston that's different maybe is that like it hadn't really been necessarily like personally affected like Louisiana and those states where you have a lot of. Well, I think there's been deaths here, but a lot of the deaths have been either people that were kind of like already vulnerable, those type of things. Really hasn't in Houston so far. You haven't really just had your everyday moderately healthy 25 to 40-year-old just all out die from corona or whatever. So not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying because I say it's almost like here, it's almost like we're hearing about a tragedy that happened in a land somewhere else more so than
and
like us
yeah,
experiencing.
it's like a tale of two, it's like two different worlds all throughout this country right now, which is very
Yeah.
fascinating to me, which is why I really wanted to talk to you. So do you feel like, have you been work-wise? Are you back to work? Have you been personally impacted by this at all? Or
Oh yeah, super impacted. Like pretty much like I before the corona, I had was doing marketing. I had a few retainer clients, some SEO clients that pretty much retainer clients, just being people that every month they already have committed to paying a certain amount of money. It pretty much covered like my living expenses and everything, and it was becoming a comfortable life. And like after the pandemic, it was like a massive drop off of clients and everything like that. It was really super hard in the beginning of the pandemic, but now there's been like a great return, and now the return is starting to be. I was able. The break was good for me because even though I had clients and stuff like that, I wasn't really. I was starting to feel a little burnt out, and I didn't necessarily have the right type of clients. I said yes to too many people. So for me, it was almost like the great flood just kind of just washed away everything, and then I was able to now like with a lot more intent bring people back on that I wanted to bring back on, and then also focus on what I wanted to focus on. So now I've kind of been pivoted into like creating courses. So I created my first course that's done pretty solid, and then I have another one coming out next week, and I was able to kind of get back in the lane of what I originally wanted to do, and kind of get out of like the rat race I was in with some of these clients and stuff.
well, that's awesome.
So
I'd love to hear the bright
yeah.
side of this because I do think this has been a time where a lot of people have been able to reset. I know myself,
Yeah.
it's been nice. Like, I didn't realize how crazy and busy my life has been, and so it's really been a time to reset. I mean, I have, obviously my family, like spending time with them that obviously I wouldn't get. So it's just been, I like to hear the positives and like people trying to, make the most of this time, or at least like seeing the benefit of this time. I know here in Michigan, we're still on lockdown through the 28th. So
Oh,
still
wow.
saving a lot of money, not going places. So that's been nice, so because everything's closed. So there's that. So, for you, I guess things are kind of back to a new normal, more so than here,
Mm-hmm.
like in Michigan. So like, what are some, like, are people even cautious in Houston? 'Cause I know here we're thinking like, well, the pools are closed for the summer. Like,
Okay.
there are some activities like buffets I can't see.
Okay.
Like, are there some activities that you think you won't be doing or that you can see people like not doing?
I mean, Houston, there's like there's two schools. There's people like, there's people that's kind of like, hey, I'm done with clubs, stuff like that for the year, but most
I'm
of the
one of
people I
those
heard,
people. I mean, I don't club for
they're
real,
like
but
bar lounges. I'm really,
concerts even.
yeah. So like
You go
that,
to a concert?
we got like no concerts. A lot of people kind of like I'm just chilling for the year, and then we have other people that are like throwing crawfish boils. I mean just
This makes me it's so strange, right? Like, how scared should we be?
yeah, and then and there's
Because I can basically go to Houston right now and feel pretty safe. I can hop on a plane No one's on the plane at DTW. I can hop on a plane, go to Houston and feel safe and go to a crab boil. Like
Yeah,
it's like
crawfish, but but they're probably doing some crab ones too, but yeah. And then out here, it's just more like it's again because it hasn't really hit with like, they haven't come on the news and shown a 32-year-old,
yeah.
person who was working at the bank that got. So I think because no one, the visual hasn't been a reflection of who people see as themselves.
Mm-hmm.
People have been a little more free. And then Houstonians, like, Houston, we some rule breakers. So spots supposed to be closed.
Meg the Stallion, right? That's
yeah,
Houston?
yeah, she's from Houston.
I
But you
like
can
her.
tell, like, oh yeah, man, she's dope. But like, you can tell certain businesses, they just kind of cracking their door open a little bit further every day, and then
This just makes me nervous, I guess, because we have had like 30-something-year-olds here pass away.
yeah,
Like that I've like not in my friend circle, but friends of my friends. Like
yeah,
close enough, not really any remarkable health issues, pretty healthy,
yeah,
so it's crazy. So I guess that's why people are at our capital, because I guess it's literally two worlds wherever you are, it seems
yeah.
like.
But
So,
yeah,
okay, so has this impacted in any way? Because I know Rob, I don't know, I don't want to assume things, but last we talked, you were a single guy.
yeah.
Is that still okay? So has this impacted dating for you at all? I just couldn't imagine. This is just such a crazy time.
Well, it's impacted it, but in the sense that like a lot of like the natural selection in day to day life has been kind of like just removed because when you take away like being outside or being there, and I talked to this girl at Whole Foods. I talked to this cashier, and I was asking her a question, and I was like, hey, because we both actually had our mask on. She was like, I was like, hey, does a mask discourage guys from trying to talk to you? And this was like, because I know her before pre-mask, and she was like a really attractive girl. And she was like, not at all. They still hot.
They
Me,
probably see that she's pretty with the mask. They're like, oh, she must be really pretty if
hey,
she's pretty with the mask.
look, the nose and lips are too important of the face to not, how like, I can't go off just like there. A lot of things can go wrong from eye through chin. So I haven't really been out there like that, but I had to adjust with the times. I went ahead and went digital, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been just getting my swipes and and
But so do you meet? Are people like meeting? I know you're single. You probably know other single guys. I just kind of want to get a general idea, like, because obviously I'm very married. Most
yeah,
of my friends are married. We have been very quarantined in Michigan. I know people who are dating, but I'm not seeing that person in like about 60 days. So, because it's that crazy
oh
here.
no, no, yeah, no, Houston, we linking
So
up, we
go get a
swiping
tip
right.
reading. Go
Hey,
get a tip check.
hey, Houston, we swiping right and hooking up. like,
Okay, so it's
yeah,
totally
no,
different. Okay,
yeah,
so in terms of everything that's going on, I always I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just like to say that I will think, like, I'm not going to just believe everything
yeah,
that I see on CNN and like things like that. But obviously, we've heard a lot of them. And this is really crazy. Like the fact that even today, like I took my son to his 9-month appointment and it was real like outbreak like they came out to the car and they had a hazmat suit. They
yeah,
like took my temperature on my forehead, his temperature, like rushed us in. We went straight, no waiting room. You just go straight into the room. It was real
yeah.
crazy, right?
Wow.
So it's crazy. It's so crazy. I don't know. So when it comes to like how much of a conspiracy theorist, how much of this do you think is like really like, whoa, like out there, like in terms of things going on? Are you kind of like, or are you just kind of like, oh, it's just like,
I think like honestly, uh, I don't know if it was like released as a conspiracy or whatever. I do think that there's a little bit of a lot of assumptions that were made. I think because it was coming from China and there's already like a contentious relationship and a certain opinion that maybe like the president feels towards China, that maybe made him have a little more caution towards it. Also, when it first came, there were a lot of assumptions. And I think the assumption was that, and just be candid, I think that, upon realizing that, it wasn't really affecting white people in the same, with the same veracity as minorities. I think that kind of really has inspired like the whole relaxation is the fact that,
Oh
hey,
yeah, I mean, I definitely think I think it's pretty obvious, right?
yeah,
I mean, I'm in Michigan where literally the Capitol building in Lansing, like where our governor like would be working, was shut down
yeah,
today because of protesters.
yeah,
And so I definitely think there's a lot of that. And I think too, because it's not us, it's also affecting a community that is typically in an industry where they've been having to continue to work.
yeah,
It's affecting in a big way a particular group of individuals.
yeah, you know,
And I think that here it's astounding. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
very obvious. So yeah.
yeah, and I think
And
so
even
that's
for my job, we've done several Zoominars about the disparities due
yeah,
to that are very obvious right now. And I think that it just also points to the underlying fact that of the systematic issues that we have, right? Like I think that can't have that conversation, like I hear them having that conversation, you can't have that on CNN without having the conversation of why are those conditions like this, why are we so
yeah,
heavily impacted, especially in a place like here, you know so
definitely, definitely,
yeah. So
yeah,
thoughts on the stimulus package. Do you think now, like I obviously, again, we're in two different worlds. I know that a lot of people here are not going back to work until like, I don't know when. A lot of people, even in Houston, the reality is a lot of industries are not going to reopen. A lot of places right now are refiguring and reconfiguring with less people in that future
mhm,
picture, because the reality is if a lot of people in these jobs are working from home now, you can cut your losses. I'm thinking about teachers as well. I can foresee a lot of teacher layoffs in the future. As a former teacher, I just know how that works. And
mhm,
so thoughts on the stimulus package. And I want to talk a little bit also, like I tie in Andrew Yanks. I know you talked a lot about him in the past. We're at a place now where we are going to kind of, it looks like, Trump's talking now about approving another package. Like it looks like we're going to need some kind of like assistance long term in some ways. Like,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on all of those things? You can just share your thoughts.
Well, I mean, when you look at like the support, the package wise that other countries are, given to their citizens, you could tell that the United States is really coming up short. And the just the reality of like the impact that the pandemic is having on people's life, as far as from a financial standpoint, and but I will say that was with the 1,200. I think the 1,200 was kind of like just. I mean, I was glad to receive it, but it's definitely. I don't know where they got that number from, but like, but with the unemployment and then also with contractors being able to apply for that, and then the help. I think the Health Care Act, which gives an additional $600 a week to
Mm-hmm.
it. I feel like it's gotten us closer to a livable wage. And then not to mention, for people now, I haven't really been as aggressive with like researching grants, or I mean, not as I haven't done any, to be honest. Like so, but if you're doing that and you have some grant and you really, you can hack together a package for yourself. But I think it does take a little bit of research and ingenuity and skills that every person doesn't necessarily have. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think in that sense, it's unfortunate for some people, and then on the flip side, it's also a lot of great opportunity out there, for others. So
I
you know,
definitely see the opportunity in this situation. Clearly, I needed to sit down. That's what I keep saying. Like, clearly, I needed to at some point reset.
yeah,
I just feel like 2020 is still my year.
yeah.
It's just coming about in a different way. But
I think,
what are you doing? I like to always hear from men specifically. Like, what are you doing to stay sane during this time? Like to like
oh, well,
even though
I
you guys
think
are
one of
back
the
to normal, so you can go to the club. I mean, you don't really have to like suffer. We're like still in
well,
this.
no, one thing like I think what one of the things that the Rona or the pandemic really did do for a lot of people is I feel like it revealed people to themselves. you know, and like, so like a lot of times, like for me, for example, when I was, freelancing, it was my clients were the reason I wasn't, I was always in a hurry and rush and not working on the stuff I wanted. Then when I was at HBU, it was my job, and there are archaic systems that always had me in a hurry and a rush. Then when I wasn't there and I was building up, it was me trying to build a business always. Then when the world shut down, nothing is open, I have no clients, I'm still in a hurry and a rush, So you start seeing that, okay, that wasn't this job or this time commitment that was stopping me from doing this. That was me, I've been able to take the time. I got a spiritual guidance counselor. We've been working on different things. We talk. I have like some other, people I work with. I look at, I look at my mind the way LeBron James, if someone looks at his body, my mind is like, my tool that funds everything, so I really try to invest in it, feed it good stuff. And, I've really used the time for that. And God really made some of the things that with my counselor and some of the things we've been working on, to be honest, if I was living life in real time, I wouldn't have had the time to go to really peel back layers and do the drills that she says to do and come back and report back to her and have the observation. I feel like now we're like, it's almost like before the pandemic, it was like if you had I don't know, like a sports metaphor, like if a football team had a game every other day, you just playing, but now it's like we play once a month, and you could like watch film and see trends and see, so for me, I've been able to really kind of look back, see things, realize like, dang, I didn't know I really felt like that. And then especially, for me, the person I talked to was a world-class listener. So, I didn't even realize this, but like when we just communicate in day-to-day life, I don't hear it because I'm just talking, but a person who really has a trained ear can hear different things, how you feel about things. So it's been really like a lot of, self-study.
I love that because I talk so much on this channel about self-care, and I talk a lot about like, I'm already kind of like an introverted extrovert anyway. So I love, like I'm creative, so I need to isolate and self-isolate a lot, but just having the time to like not have a schedule. And like, it took a minute for me to like adjust too, because I'm so used to being busy. And I was just like had that need, like, what do I have to do? And it's like, I have nothing, like I can just relax. And then it was like, now I can think about like what I can work on with myself, like with my family. And so it's for me, it's been really helpful. And, I'm glad that you shared that. I'm glad that you shared too, that you've reconnected, with your spiritual, you said guidance or,
Well, I asked her, like, what should I call you? She called me a spiritual guidance counselor.
Okay, so I love that. And, I have my person too. I'm an empath, and I have a group of women too, and we kind of like a support group, and we really have been coming together a lot virtually during this time. I meditate a lot. So I think it's great. And I think if you're not, if you're listening to this and you're not maybe used to those things, I always encourage people, YouTube is your friend, look out those kind of things to build up self-care, look up, guided meditations. If you don't know how to meditate, people are always like, I don't know how to meditate. Like, how do you do that? I started by literally following guided meditations, and things like that. So whatever it takes, figure out something, to feed your soul, really make sure that you're feeding yourself good things during this time, because the war is very mental. I feel like it's going to be very mental. I feel like when this is all over, it's really going to be mind over whatever is the matter. Those who are mentally strong will survive just as much of those as those who are physically strong. And so I think it's just really important right now. It's like battle. You've got to really, you're going to see next year who broke from this. And it's going to be very telling who took care of themselves during this time too. So before I do like, that was really heavy a little bit, but I always like to end on a lighthearted note. So are you doing anything fun? Have you watched any like movies lately, podcasts, anything you want to kind of recommend for the people? We always do recommendations too. I share here. We're a sharing channel.
I mean, I listen to mostly nerd stuff, so I don't,
It's okay. This is the spot. This is the whole of intelligent talk and good vibes. That's what it is.
Okay, well, I'll tell you one. There's a great podcast called, let me pull it up. It's called The Side Hustle Show. If I challenge anybody out, anyone, anywhere, like if you just take 30 minutes of for the guys out there, if you take 30 or 45 minutes of your your ESPN time and just give it to this. You don't even have to listen to a whole episode. Just listen to like 30 minutes of this. This is I mean, as far as generating income, this thing here, you know, they should charge for you to hear this podcast. Like,
So wait, is it just on Apple Podcasts or whatever?
I think it's no. They're on Apple and then Google Play. I have an iPhone, but they actually have a website you can just go directly to too. I think it's called thesidehustleshow.com.
Awesome.
But
Okay,
yeah,
well,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna put it in the description, guys. I'm gonna add that. I'll make sure I get that information from you. I'll put it in the description below. But awesome. I always like to share. Actually, my last guest shared a show that she's watching on Netflix last time, and people loved it. So we always share here. We're a village. It's a village that we are building on this channel. So thank you so much for being here today, Rob. How can people find you? Give me your Instagrams, contact, and I will also, again, include it in the description, but go ahead and share it.
Okay, easiest way to follow me, best place is Rob J 10X, and the J is spelled out ROBJAY 10X. And you know, on there about twice a week, post tutorials, how to do various things. I think the last one I did was on logo creation. We did a review. Actually, you might really like this too. We did a brief review on Facebook rooms, but who knows? You know, maybe that might be one of the places you wind up, because it was really
I will.
good
You know,
feedback.
I have a private group, which I also have in the description below, for Black women that I've been having since like 2014. And we actually have our first little room thing, but I don't know anything about it. I just said happy hour. That's all I did. I don't know much, but yeah, we're trying this out tomorrow, supposedly. Maybe I'll test it. I'm going to watch yours now before I test it out, because I was like,
Okay, mine is this. It's a very basic intro. It's not, you know, don't expect to learn much, but you'll see what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Rob, again, for being here today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And thanks, and I'll see you next week.